Good afternoon. We're so glad to have all of you joining us today. My name is Alyssa Gordon. I'm Vice President of Community Impact at the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. Um, the Community Impact Department is where we do our grant making, our capacity building, learning and evaluation, our public policy work, and many of our community impact team members, as well as team members from the broader foundation, are on the call today. And you can recognize us by our Hartford Foundation uh, backgrounds and we are also trying to identify ourselves in our names as well. Today, we're going to be sharing about the Hartford Foundation's grant opportunities for 2024. And before we do that, I want to start with a brief overview of the Foundation's strategic priorities. And if you've attended this meeting in January 2023, you would have seen a slide, this same slide, and we have not changed our strategic priorities. To speak to our mission is putting philanthropy into action to create lasting solutions that result in vibrant communities within the entire Greater Hartford region. We serve 29 towns in the Greater Hartford region. To that mission, we have broad strategic goals or strategic framework that's looking at ways that we, alongside all of you as our partners, can contribute to the strategic goals of dismantling structural racism and advancing equitable economic and social mobility. And you can see in this slide here the way we've come to think about ways that we can contribute at the foundation alongside all of you as our partners to dismantling structural racism is really thinking about ways that we can shift power and change the makeup of who's benefiting from opportunities, as well as who's making decisions about those opportunities, inclusive of programs and policy and the allocation of resources. We consider how policy and practice builds power or creates barriers. And so that is where we are looking at organizational and systemic level policies and practice with an equity lens. And thirdly, looking at how we can contribute to influencing attitudes and beliefs to make change. On the other side of this slide, we have 5 outcome areas where we're focused and where we are seeking partners who have understanding and alignment and learning to share in these 5 outcome areas. One is looking at increasing the number of Hartford residents living in higher opportunity neighborhoods, and higher opportunity neighborhoods are really the neighborhoods that any one of us would want to be living in, with quality, affordable housing, green spaces, social connectedness with our neighbors. The second outcome area is basic human needs, improving the physical and emotional well-being of our residents throughout the region. The third is increasing employment opportunities for residents, particularly for Black and Latin residents. Increasing civic engagement, participation, and awareness is the fourth, and then our fifth is increasing contribution towards a more inclusive, diverse arts sector and ecosystem. So with that, if we can advance to the next slide. So how can you find out about grant opportunities? There are 3 significant ways that we'll highlight here today. One is our website. And again, we will be sharing this slide deck. It will have the embedded links to bring you right to the places where you need to go to find out about grant opportunities. But the first place to look is on our website and going to view our 2024 RFP calendar. And we're going to be talking more in detail about that today. The second place is to sign up to receive notifications about new RFPs, requests for proposals, and grant opportunities. And that we are including the link here about where to sign up. When you sign up, you will then be on the mailing list or the notification list, the email list, to receive in real time notifications when we open up a new opportunity. And then if you're not sure where to start, then you can talk to one of our staff members. If you're a current grantee, you can reach out to your community impact officer. And if you're unsure who your officer may be, or if you're not a current grantee, you can contact us through the email, which is monitored by Tara Sunday, who's on this call, on this meeting, and or email here at applications@hfpg.org. And Tara monitors the emails and questions that come in through that link, and she will be able to get back to you. We can advance to the next slide. So in terms of what opportunities are coming in 2024, we currently have one open request for proposal right now, and that's our Get Out the Vote RFP that opened on January 16th, and it will close on February 20th. And this request for proposal is designed to support nonprofits and community groups engaged in civic engagement and voter participation activities across the greater Hartford region ahead of the 2024 elections, both the federal and state elections. That is open, as I said, now. Coming soon is our Love Your Block call for ideas. This is connected to our neighborhood beautification collaboration with the city of Hartford. And that brings together city leaders, organizations, and residents looking to come together to revitalize neighborhoods one block at a time. That grant opportunity will open on Valentine's Day and will close on March 14th. And information about these RFPs will be on our website. Whenever we release an RFP, you'll be able to see a description of the RFP. We typically will try to share resources to help you think about responding to the RFP, as well as where it is where we're able to also share some of the ways that we may be considering requests for proposals in terms of rubrics that we may be using to make decisions. We also have other expected RFPs in the first half of 2024 that we just wanted to lift up today. And those include our first round of our Basic Human Needs Emergency Assistance Grants that will open in early April. These grants support nonprofits as they increase access to emergency services and immediate assistance for the most basic human needs to vulnerable residents throughout the region. So these often are supporting immediate assistance related to food insecurity, housing needs, as well as some other, immediate need that may come up related to physical and mental health. For example, we have 2 rounds through the year. So as I noted, the first round will open up in early April and will close in May. And then we have a second round that will open up in August 1st, and close in September, so that you know that there are 2 rounds there. The other grant to look for in the first half of 2024 is our 2024 Community Organizing and Resident Engagement Grant opportunity. That will open up in late April, and decisions will be made on a rolling basis from May through mid-September. And these grants support community groups who are conducting community organizing efforts led by people of color and or representing other historically more marginalized communities, as well as supporting nonprofits who are engaging with residents around civic participation and or community-wide change efforts. And again, details for all of these opportunities will be available on our website. And if you sign up for that notification, you will get real-time notification when we're opening up each one of these RFPs. In the second half of the year, we'll be releasing RFPs for our giving circles. We have 3 giving circles. We have the Black Giving Circle Fund, we have the Latino Endowment Fund, and we have the Catalyst Endowment Fund. And these giving circles typically will be opening up their RFP opportunities between July and August. And these giving circles are comprised, while they are foundation giving, housed at the foundation and administered at the foundation, these are member giving circles. So we have members, residents who are coming together, providing funds, and then coming together to make decisions about the allocation of those funds. And that is between July and August. We also have some special town funds that were established many years ago by generous donors. One that's related to support Glastonbury, the Sestero Fund. One that supports Granby, which is the Pomeroy Brace Fund, and those opportunities will be available later in the year, closer to August. And then finally, just want to uplift our 2025 summer program RFP that will be released as well, closer to November. Okay, so if we can just move to the next slide. So over the past 2 years, we've had requests for proposals, grant opportunity known as access grants. These grants were awarded one-time grant to support ideas and projects that contributed to our strategic framework of dismantling structural racism or aligning with one of the foundation's 5 outcome areas that I highlighted. We are evolving this opportunity based on feedback from many of you, from the nonprofits that had an opportunity to participate, and those who perhaps didn't receive funding under that opportunity, as well as our own learning. And we are going to be offering a new grant opportunity in 2024 that kind of evolves from the access grants that we're be calling open door grants. And that's going to be available to support what we hope will be a broader range of organizations who wouldn't be receiving multi-year grants through one of our particular strategic outcome portfolios, but have general alignment with our strategic framework and our mission. I'm encouraging all of you again to check back on our website during the first week of March to learn more about this open door grant opportunities, the eligibility consideration. You can check back here at this link, which again will be embedded and available to you in the materials that we share after this meeting. And there will likely be another type of opportunity with our staff to share some more information once that opportunity goes online. At this time, I want to introduce 2 of my colleagues, Mayor Schulman and Lucas Codognola. Mayor is the Associate Director of Nonprofit Support Program and a member of our capacity building team, and Lucas is a Senior Community Impact Officer who leads our Greater Together Community Fund and our capacity building work with smaller nonprofits. So I hand the baton to Mayor and Lucas.
Thanks, Alyssa, and good afternoon, everyone. So just to give you a little bit of background, NSP, or the Nonprofit Support Program, is the organizational capacity building or strengthening arm of the Hartford Foundation, and the programs and services that we offer help nonprofit leaders to manage and govern their organizations more effectively. So I wanted to quickly run through 5 programs that we have coming up pretty soon, and then 5 ongoing programs and grants that are offered on a rolling basis so you can access them anytime. Next slide. So upcoming programs. The first one I wanted to mention is our Executive Management Institute for Executive Directors. This program is solely for executive directors. It will be an 8-month program offered in a hybrid format, some in-person sessions, some virtual. It'll start in April, run through October, and applications will be sent to executive directors in February of 2024. I think one of the nice things about this program is that not only does it give executive directors kind of some helpful tools on how to run an organization. Many EDs have never run an organization before, but it also allows executive directors to build a network of peers with whom they can share both their issues and challenges as well as their successes. So that application will be out in February. The next program I wanted to mention is Data Strategic Planning. This is a program that really allows nonprofits to improve their data systems and much of the data they already collect, and to help them look at that data and figure out how they can better understand the results of their work. This is a year-long program. It will be starting in June, and it will be for a small team from organizations. And then the third program I wanted to mention is a new one for us, although the program's been around for a while. It's called Listen for Good. This is a program that allows nonprofits to gather and to use feedback from their clients in making strategic decisions and improving their programming. This too is a year-long program. There will be an application, and that application will go out probably sometime in February or March. Next slide. The next program I wanted to mention is Catch a Fire. Some of you may already be enrolled in this program. Basically, Catch a Fire is an online platform that is filled with skilled professional volunteers. So these are folks that are doing things for a living, like developing websites and doing financial management and fundraising, and they are volunteering their time because they want to help nonprofits. So it's a platform you can use to get matched with one or more of these experts to help you in any of these areas. The foundation pays for your membership in Catch a Fire, and you can use it as many times as you like. And we've included the link here in terms of how you can register for Catch a Fire. And now I will turn it over to Lucas, who will talk to you about a couple of other programs.
Fair. As you've seen from the programs that Mayor has shared, in the nonprofit support program, we definitely encourage nonprofits to engage in constant learning. And so through one of the partnerships that we have with the Hartford Public Library, we host a series of workshops that are geared towards smaller and emerging nonprofits on foundational nonprofit management topics. But we encourage everyone to take these workshops. It's a great understanding of how to best practices around nonprofit management, functional areas. And so we run these workshops on in the fall and in the spring, and we're getting ready to launch our spring workshops in the coming weeks. And so we'll be sending out more information about that. And this spring, we'll have workshops specifically for all volunteer organizations that are interested in hiring their first employee. We'll also have workshops around succession planning and transitions. And so that's upcoming this spring. But since 2020, all of our workshops have been recorded, and we have recordings for all of the workshops that we've hosted, including the templates and materials. And so when you get this slide deck, I encourage you to click the link to see our previous recorded workshop. And I always encourage nonprofits to share this link and share the workshops with your key stakeholders in your organization. Next slide. And so, in talking about some of the grants and programs offered on an ongoing basis within the nonprofit support program, the first one is operating support for small nonprofit organizations. We recognize that smaller organizations have unique needs in regards to where they are in their stage of development, in regards to the resources that are needed for their operations. And so, we have this opportunity, which is an invitation-only opportunity, but the information is on our website under our grants opportunities page. And you'll see this is a specific opportunity for organizations with budgets and annual revenues less than 300,000. and the grants are up to 15,000 for a total of 2 years. And so I encourage you, if you're a small organization, to look at the eligibility, look at the opportunity on our website, and get in touch with me, and we'll have a conversation about it. And I'll pass it back to you, Mayor.
Thanks, Lucas. So a couple of more programs that are offered on a rolling basis. The first is our technical assistance grants, or TAGs for short. These are grants that are used for different types of organization-wide planning, for example, for strategic planning or fundraising planning, or to help strengthen your board. Sometimes they're used to strengthen your human resources to explore an alliance or a merger. So it's a very flexible grant-making tool. And the dollars basically go towards a consultant's time that you would choose. So you would choose a consultant to come in and really facilitate the organization through one of these planning processes. The next grant opportunity is our executive transition grants. These come into play when an executive director announces they're going to leave, whether it's in 3 weeks or whether it's in a year. And these grants really help pay for a consultant's time to really work hand in glove with the board through the entire transition process. Next slide. And then two other opportunities that are offered on a rolling basis. One is our strategic technology program. This is a program for nonprofits with budgets over $300,000, and it consists of a couple of components. The first is an organization will go through a couple of workshops that would allow them to really think through their strategic technology needs. The next step is that the organization would create a strategic technology plan for the organization, and then based on that plan, the organization could come into us and apply for a grant to fund what's in that technology plan. And Amy Studwell, who's listed here, is the contact for that program. And then finally, the financial management grants. So these are grants that that allow you to sort of take a look at your financial systems and your processes, and really kind of have them reviewed by an expert financial management consultant. And that consultant would sort of make recommendations on how you can improve those systems and processes. And then based on those recommendations, you could come into us for a grant to help fund some of those improvements. And again, the contact person for this is Amy Studwell. Next slide. So that's NSP in a really brief nutshell. We've put our website URL here so you can go in and root around and see what other programs we offer. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me or to Lucas at any time. Thank you. And I will now turn it over to my colleague, Kate Serbaki. And Kate is our Director of Learning and Evaluation.
Hi, yes, thanks, Mayor. Hello, everyone. I do lead our learning and evaluation unit here within the foundation. I'm also going to try to briefly summarize how you might encounter learning and evaluation folks at the foundation and put that in a nutshell for you. One of the things that we do is we also make grants to support the regional data and evaluation ecosystem in the following ways shared on the screen. You might also encounter learning and evaluation staff here at the foundation in the context of working with your program officer on what you plan to share as part of your reporting, or what outcomes that you plan to share with us on your grants. So that's another place you might see some learning and evaluation staff. If you could advance the slide. One of the questions that we often get from our grantee partners and other organizations working in the community is the need for reliable and actionable data. You might be developing a proposal to a funder, including us, or you just want to do a needs assessment or get a better sense of your town's demographics or what's happening in the region. In terms of community change, two great resources and two organizations that we support are CT Data and Data Haven. They both have a variety of data resources that are regard residents' well-being, what's happening in terms of community change and community demographics. You can see here there's a great helpline, CT data, some of the things we use internally to better understand community, as well as talking to folks like you, are things like the Community Wellbeing Index that Data Haven produces, their Knowledge Center, and their town level equity reports. If you could advance the slide. So if you have any questions about data, accessing data, we live in a very data-rich ecosystem. If you get stuck developing grant outcomes, we are a source of assistance. You can contact me or my colleague, Kelly Casey. We'd be happy to help you with any data and evaluation questions that you have in support of our grants or other strategy needs that you have. So with that, I will pass it to my colleague.
Hi again, everyone. I know this is a lot of information to digest. And again, just reminding everyone that all of the information today will be shared with all of you. And so you will have access to the recording and the slide deck and all the associated links. And to also, as part of that, to remind you again that ways to reach out to us, if you don't know where to start, even once looking at the slide deck or re-listening to the recording, that link application that at hfpg.org, our colleague Tara Sunday is a good place to start to ask questions as well, and certainly our website generally. Before we segue into the question and answer section, I just want to remind folks also that if not everybody wants to ask a question in the chat in front of a big group, that you can also email us questions, and as well as knowing that at the end of after today, we're also going to be sharing a survey that we will ask you to complete for us, because your feedback on this session helps us provide better information to all of you. So, last year we did a survey after this opportunities meeting, and that helped inform us, ways that we could present the opportunities today, and anything that's shared with us today will only help us throughout the year and next January, to do this type of session. So the grant, your willingness to fill out that survey is really super helpful to us. So I know there are a couple of questions that were posed in the chat. One was whether or not organizations need to have a current grant with the foundation in order to apply for, participate in the nonprofit support program or capacity building programs and grant opportunities. You do not need to have a current grant to be able to learn about and potentially access the capacity building nonprofit support program grants. And we again encourage you to use any one of the portals, either through our website, which then can also lead you to the nonprofit support program website, and the information that Lucas and Mayor shared as ways to find out more about those resources. You can also, if you're a current grantee, you can also have conversations with your community impact officer about your capacity building needs and interest, and they can connect you, because we work collaboratively behind the scenes across the department, and they can connect you to the best capacity building team member to talk with you about that as well. The second question that was raised, is there any offerings that helps nonprofits with their grant proposal writing? I'm going to actually ask Mayor or Lucas or one of our capacity building staff members if they might have a thought about an answer to that question. Perhaps Mayor, I can see you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alyssa, which question were you referring to?
Folks were asking about if we offer support to help nonprofits with their proposal writing or responding to grant opportunities.
Yeah, actually, Lucas, do you want to talk about HPL?
Sure, I'll do that. That's definitely a need that we're seeing in the sector, and so the way we've supported or nonprofits is through offering grant writing workshops through the Hartford Library. We do have a workshop that we held on last fall, and we have the recording and all of the templates and materials for that in our previously recorded workshops link. And we will be hosting another one this year. So be on the lookout, and we will make sure that you all know when these workshops are happening. And if you can't attend a workshop, I always encourage organizations to at least register so that you're getting the recording and templates as well.
Mhm. Thank you, Lucas and Mayor. Another question that was raised was a question about our, do we still offer, the foundation still offer small express grants? So for folks who may have had some experience, we in the past have had opportunities where the grants we're talking about today, let me just say, the grants we're talking about today are the grant making that's done with what we call foundation directed dollars. Those are kind of unrestricted dollars that are connected and allocated to support the foundation's strategic framework. We also have donor advised funds where donors retain the ability to decide where their funds go. So it's not the staff making decisions, but donors making a decision. That sits on the development side of our house. And in the past, they've had some opportunities that were connected to donor interest. And so the question about the small express grant, I believe, is related to something called Grant Express that came from donor advised fund grant making. That is something we are looking at, and we're working very closely with our development colleagues to connect donor interest with the foundation's strategic priorities. So stay tuned there about, where those offerings may be that in the past, I think, have been called Grant Express from our development group. I see another question of what is likely to be the difference in criteria between access and open door grants. We do anticipate, we're still making refinements, the kind of final touches to that grant opportunity. And so what I'm going to ask is for all of your patience to that first week of March time when we will be ready to really roll out the details about that grant opportunity. We'll be able to share what the criteria is, how it may differ from what we were doing at the asset grants in the past, and we'll be offering other opportunities to learn more about that directly. The foundation accept fiscal sponsors if the organizations are not a registered nonprofit. Yes, we do. Part of the eligibility is that anyone who receives our grants either needs themselves to be a 501c3 registered nonprofit, or they could be working with another organization or entity who serves as a fiscal agent or a fiscal sponsor, who they themselves, that sponsoring or fiscal sponsor or fiscal agent, they themselves have a 501c3. I also want to remind you again to sign up for the RFP notifications, and we'll make sure that and we'll be announcing open door grant opportunity. And I'm just looking through our question. Another question came up. If an organization is a core support grantee, are they eligible for other funding? So that is absolutely something that we would encourage you to speak to your community impact officer about. As I mentioned, in particular, there are some grant opportunities that even if you're getting core support, which is typically the kind of grant that we have several types of grant making tools. One is project support, where we're funding a specific project or a group of projects. Another might be a grant that supports the entire organizational mission that's aligned with the foundation's strategic goals. So that we call core support. So organizations that receive core support, the core support is meant to be comprehensive and holistic to the organizational needs. However, there are some other grant opportunities that are still available to those grantees, specifically in the area of capacity building. And so that is why we really encourage you to have a conversation with your community impact officer if you are a core support grantee, so that we can kind of walk through together what you're looking for and think about how we can best support that. The next question is, do you recommend meeting with a grant officer prior to submitting a grant application, such as a resident engagement grant? Each one of our RFPs will explicitly state if you have questions as you're contemplating filling out the RFP, or as you're filling it out, there'll be kind of a link that you can access to ask questions. Many of our RFP grant opportunities also offer their own type of conversations like the one we're having today that go a little more deeper or allow question and answer time. It really depends on that grant opportunity. But we have officers who are assigned and who are leading each one of those requests for proposal opportunities, who would, their contact information will always be made available as part of the RFP information packet. Let's see. With our finger on the community pulse, are you noticing any slight decrease in donations to nonprofits between 22 and last year, 23? That's an interesting question. I think what I would say is that we are, if anything, noticing an increase in donor interest in learning about community needs, and who have been approaching the foundation to understand what are some of the greatest community needs that we're hearing from our community partners. I don't know that I can speak concretely about whether or not there's been a decrease in direct grant making to nonprofits. I think we definitely are seeing increased, and since with our own strategic framework, a broader range of potential donors who are interested in joining us and learning with us and learning with all of you. That may not exactly answer the question, and certainly open it up if I have any colleagues who have some other insight that might be relevant to the chat. Feel free. Let's see. Another question is, just looking through our questions. We have a few more minutes. Who do I reach out to if I don't have a grant? So I think in the chat, and in the slide deck, you will see there's a link to something called applications. It will say applications@hfpg.org. And our colleague, Tara Sunday, monitors that email address. So if you don't have a grant officer, that's the first place to go to ask questions. And that information is also embedded in the slide deck. I'm going to take one more question and then do a wrap up. Again, feel free to continue to ask questions in the chat. We're going to be gathering all of the questions. We'll, where it's appropriate, we'll include all those questions in a follow-up Q&A with the information that we'll be sharing broadly in terms of the slide deck and the recording. Final question that I think I can take is, can you give more information on the role of the community impact officer, and are they available only if you have a grant with the foundation? So we have community impact officers here who work very closely with grantees, or folks who are actually thinking about, who have submitted a grant proposal or responded to an RFP, or have begun conversations about ways that they're aligned with our grant making outcomes, are usually assigned a community impact officer. And the role of that community impact officer is to really build the relationship and and to facilitate a collaborative process with the applicant or organization to understand what your needs are, to understand what you're looking for in terms of support and resources that we might be able to provide, and to continue, if a grant is then made, to continue that relationship throughout the period of the grant. The other role of a community impact officer is to make connections internally. So if you are, you're a community impact officer, if you are a grantee and you're assigned a community impact officer, they can also help make connection to other kinds of resources and staff that we have, such as, our capacity building or our learning evaluation staff, or even on our development side or our communications team, as relevant. So the community impact officer really is the relationship between a grantee and the foundation is the nexus. Although we also have, if you are not a current grantee, many of our community impact officers also serve the role as resources to share about how the foundation does its work, and to be kind of an introduction for you. It's kind of prior to actually getting a grant, receiving a grant. So at this point, I'm going to wrap up. I know there are still some questions in the chat. We will collect those and answer all of those and return that all back to all of you alongside the recording, the slide deck, which will have all the links. Please do sign up. Again, I'll put a plug in for signing up for the notifications about our grant opportunities. And please also, I'll put a plug in and another request for you to complete the survey, that link that will be shared to a survey to give us feedback about how we can do the best job we can do in sharing these grant opportunities and answering your questions. So thank you all for joining us today, your patience with us in a very large group. And as I said, we'll leave the chat open for a few moments if you want to keep putting some questions in that chat that then we can collect and answer and get back to you. Thank you on behalf of the entire Community Impact Department, on behalf of the foundation. We so appreciate all that you give to us in terms of learning and helping us have a pulse on what is happening in the community and what's happening in the nonprofit sector. And we look forward to partnering with you in the future.